Just searching for a honeybee. And when she's buzzing, I can't think of nothing but the honey that she's always giving me.
Now then, welcome back to another episode on the Utopia server, playing around with fusion reactors. We have had a few changes. We've had to do a bit here and a bit there to change things around. Quite considerably, considering the nukes blew up and sort of set us back a fair bit. But now we've got 4 set up, where once we had 3. And we've got a little timer to prevent them from overheating ever again and blowing up. I will explain this little timer in brief detail. There is a latch connected to this nuclear reactor, and it's either on or off. Simple. It's a T flip-flop style thing, a latch. On or off. And this one is set to the opposite of that one. So while that one's got the redstone signal facing away from the nuclear reactor, this one over here has got the signal facing towards the nuclear reactor, which means this nuclear reactor is on, while that nuclear reactor is off and cooling down. And then the wires lead from the opposite side to do the opposites on the other corners. So this timer in the middle is set to 2 minutes. Or 120-second intervals to flip the switches. So there's always 2 reactors on for 2 minutes at a time, and then they swap over due to those latches to turn them off and have a 2-minute cooldown, which we reckon is about as stable as we're going to make it.
Yeah, it should be fine.
We do also have this special all-out on-off switch at the back here to turn the timer off in case we want to just stop everything.
Which
we can
uses
then manually...
the most high-tech blocks in the game.
Yeah, a standard redstone repeater going through a block into the timer because of this AE wire here. But aside from that, we managed to rebuild everything, and potentially we've made it slightly better than before. But not by much. We've pretty much followed what our original design was. And we wanted to show you guys what the pitfall was of setting up the nuclear reactor in the way that we did in the last episode. It was nuclear reactors or fusion reactor for noobs, after all, by noobs. So why don't you explain what went wrong with the nuclear reactor to make it blow the whole place up 30 minutes after we finished recording?
Well, what went wrong was Greg.
It's all Greg's fault. There we go. Problem solved.
Yeah, he's changed the nuclear reactors in the most recent update, which means that they overheat. This pattern used to sustain it indefinitely with as many fuel quad uranium cells in it as you can get in it as quick as possible. And now it doesn't. Now it will actually overheat. And as far as I'm aware, there isn't a better pattern that will sustain the temperature. We also had in this reactor over here a single piece of component that was slightly different.
And that was a big flaw, really, wasn't it? If it hadn't have been for that blowing up within 30 minutes of us finishing the episode, they all would have blown up anyway.
Yeah, probably.
Through overheating of some kind, yeah. So we're fairly glad that we've managed to reset the server to a backup to the day before we constructed it, and we spent quite some time reconstructing it in almost exact detail. But now we're going to change some things around, aren't we? And get things set up. These electrolyzers over here, really they should have a full 128 EU per tick fed directly into them to make them the maximum speed possible. So the plan that we've got is DooDart's going to set up MFEs onto all of these electrolyzers so that each electrolyzer has access to one MFE. As you can see now, if they render for me, they're facing the wrong way.
They are, yeah.
Yeah. So he'll switch them all around with his wrench, and they'll be facing down into the electrolyzers. They're actually all connected, so all MFEs will connect to all electrolyzers still.
Is that the best way to do it? That makes sense, doesn't it?
That makes sense. And then we'll have one MFSU feeding those 4 MFEs from the main power supply, as the MFSU gets quartered down into 128s per tick into the MFE. So we've made a load of MFEs and a load of MFSUs, and DooDart's going to start setting all them up now, while I rig up the inputs and outputs for all of the cells that are going to go in for the process. We've got to feed cells into the electrolyzer, and we've also got to take out all of the items that are in the electrolyzer. So the only way I've found of doing that without massive amounts of AE cables was to connect the whole lot up into one big system for a router to read, which I did over on the other side. At least I started to on the other side. And now I've just hooked these first few up. So every single barrel is connected to every single electrolyzer, which means that they are technically one system that the routers can read. I'm going to do the same over this side as well, so that both sets have the same layout. And in this corner over here, I'm going to set up a mini AE system with the routers to extract, import, and output, and all of that stuff as it needs to. So I think we should just get on with it then. We'll be back in a little while when we've set up these basics, and I'll quickly go through how I set up this AE system with the routers in this corner, and we shall continue from there. Catch you in a bit. If I set the AE system controller there, put an energy cell on it for now. Yep. Oh, come on. Don't make me have to put my flight back on to do it. I'm parkouring because I can't be bothered to turn my flight back on. Right, that gives that power.
What? You're doing what?
I know! Crazy mad, isn't it?
And guess what I need in my AE system? Refined iron.
Refined iron. Oh. I can go there. Put that cell there. Yep. All right then. We are completing this stage, and we're moving on to the next bit. Yeah. Hey, DooDart. Hey. Can't quite hit you from over here. Right. So what we've done, DooDart has moved all of this lot around. Do you want to quickly explain what's happening with the power supply at the minute?
Well, we've dedicated one MFU to each electrolyzer, so that's why they're banked across the top like that. And then there's a transformer here, an MV transformer, which gets the power from the MFSUs once we hook it up. Do you want to hook it up now?
Yeah, we probably can. Yeah, we're not sure whether 2's going to be enough, whether we need to put one for each bank.
Yeah.
But we're going to test it out this way and see what happens. See if the processing works still. So these MFSUs should, in theory, carry on going up.
Yeah, looks like they are.
Yeah. Which means the nuclear reactors are powering enough to power all of these machines currently.
Hooray!
And if the MFEs are also filling, then we're in business.
They're
not really very full at the minute, are they? But over time, it should all catch up. If the MFSUs are going to keep up,
yeah,
then the rest of it should catch up eventually.
We can keep an eye on it, can't we?
Yeah.
And what are these beautiful things we've got over here?
Beautiful things. You mean the tanks?
Yeah.
Well, that's all for the next stage, isn't it? We've constructed 2 simple tanks. We haven't put valves on yet because we haven't decided exactly where the valves are going to go. But we've got one for deuterium and one for tritium, something like that.
Tritium, something.
Tritium, something like that. We'll look into that a bit later on when we actually connect it up. But they're the 2 liquids that we're making for the fusion reactor to have its reaction.
Yeah, they're fuel, aren't they?
Yeah, they're the fuel. So all of this is building up to fill these tanks of fuel. So we put the fuel tanks on this level so that the next level can be fully centrifuges pumping stuff into them from the top. And from the bottom, we'll bring out liquiducts and send it up to the fusion reactor. And the corner of the fusion reactor will probably be here somewhere. So this will be the corner that gets the power from the 2 liquids, or gets the liquids to start the reaction. Yeah. In theory, we've got it so we're laying it out as we go, and hopefully there's not too much we need to change when we've got it all in place. We've already changed all these electrolyzers around, twice now to get different layouts to try and optimize our layout. And we may have to put a few more MV transformers in here to maximize the potential at some point. But we're just going to see if it runs without for now. Over here, all the barrels have now been connected to the electrolyzers. So if you check on an electrolyzer, you'll see that they're all full of water because we've got the water supply sorted for them. They're currently not receiving enough power to activate and actually run the recipe, unfortunately. We've got to wait for a lot more power to be flowing through. There's no way of disconnecting them either, really, is there? At the minute, because I think they're not receiving enough power and they're using the power before it's ready, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So we may need to disconnect them from the MFEs, so the MFEs have a chance to charge fully, so the MFEs can then power these at a constant 128 per tick. Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you want to remove some cabling while I go through the system over here?
I will give it a try.
The electrolyzers have slots in them, and we have a slot 1, a slot 2, a slot 3, a slot 4, and a slot 5. Now, slot 1 is where the empty cells go. Slot 2 is where the water comes out that we need, the hydrogen cells comes out that we need, and slot 3 we get another product that we don't need, which is going into one of these centrifuges up here, which is compressed air cells. Now, the compressed air cells are going to need to be processed to make them empty cells again, which is why I've got this little rig up above my head. But let's go through the process over here. So, bearing in mind that there's those slots in each of the electrolyzers, these routers are connected via barrels so that they're... the barrels are all connected to all the electrolyzers, and the barrels are connected to these 3 routers here. These 3 routers are set up so that one of them is inserting into slot 1, and the other 2 are extracting from slot 2 and extracting from slot 3. So the AE system has got an export bus here into the one that's inserted into slot 1, the empty cells. So empty cells come into this router and then get filled into all of the machines into the slot 1 where the empty cells need to go. Then the other 2 routers are pulling out from slot 2 and 3 the product that we actually want to process. And then I've got 2 import buses behind those, importing everything that the extractor may bring out. And then we go into the AE chest, and we've got the hydrogen cells and everything going into there as required, just for storage space. From there, we'll go up and into all of the centrifuges. That's the plan. The compressed air has to be processed, so we've got 4 extractors along here. And these 4 extractors are set up so that they export compressed air from the AE system into them and then import the empty cells back into the chest, where they can be redone into the electrolyzers. When we get into the next part of the level, all of the cells that get emptied out into the tanks will also go through those same extractor process to empty the cells back out and put them back through the system again as required. Which is all good. We're going to need a hell of a lot more cells though, but we've got plenty of tin kicking around in the AE systems around the base. So we should be able to make a load of new empty cells to start stocking all these up and have some sort of excess stock as well. So yeah, that's about it. We're now waiting for these nukes to process enough to fill the MFSUs, to fill the MFEs, and then we can reconnect all the electrolyzers, and then the processing can begin while we make a load of cans, a load of cells, should I say. And I think we're ready to put a roof on, really. And we got the marble blocks that we're going to use.
Yeah, I've got a barrel pretty much full over in my
over at your base,
plant.
okay?
Yeah.
So we're going to put them at the top edge of the tanks. So just covering the top of all of this level on the top of the machines, but leaving the AE system exposed so it can pump onto the next level. And that way, we should be all good. Oh yeah, the power is also powering the AE system. The nukes are also powering the AE system. And this is its own separate little AE system that's going to deal with all these cells. Do you want to chuck us some blocks and we'll get started? We'll make another little cut while we get all this done, and we'll wait for the MFSUs and all that to fill up. We've put a load more quad cells into the nukes, so we should now be able just to hang about a bit and let all of that fill up nicely before moving on to the next stage. We should also think about some special lighting as well while we're doing it. While we're waiting for the MFSUs, we should look for some lighting solutions.
You mean torches aren't good enough for you, Nemsun?
Torches just don't do it for me, no.
No.
So we'll think of some sort of lighting that can be in this marble to light the ceiling of one and the floor of the other.
Have you still got a load of white lamps left over from your place?
No, but they're easy enough to make, so we could probably make some white lamps and that would look okay, wouldn't it?
Yeah, or we can go for some kind of coloured theme. I don't know.
Yeah, could do green or red or something. Nuclear green. I don't know. We'll think about it.
You've bulked it up already. You've covered up the hole.
We can break that. That's fine. Yeah, so that's it for now. We will be back soon with the next part of the second part of the fusion reactor for noobs.
Bye, noobs.
Bye, noobs, for noobs. And done.
Oh, I can't believe you covered up the hole. Silly Nemsun.
Well, I need some more blocks now anyway. Oh, so much block placement.
There you go, I just chucked a few stacks on the floor there.
Mm-hmm. And the sound lag.
Sound lag? I've never heard of that before.
I place 6 blocks and then get 1 plug.
Oh, right, yeah.
We don't need these transformers exposed, do we?
No, just cover it all up. Yeah, all we need is the 4 MFSUs, sorry.
Yeah.
Exposed. Oh, the bat box sticks over the top.
That's all right. We don't want this corner worried about anyway. We'll leave this corner exposed because we need to bring the piping and stuff up anyway.
Okay. Just put one little strip across it.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah, it looks okay.
You're not a fan of the marble?
More the stone that's the outer wall.
There you go. Is that in line? It should be in line. Yeah, looks good to me. Have you got a load of marble left over?
Yeah, I got a fair bit at the minute. Why do you need some more?
No, I was just wondering about getting rid of it. I might fill in the sides a little bit.